Good evening everyone, and welcome to the launch of the Clifden Visitor Guide. How did it start? Who funded it? Why did it start? Over the next few minutes, let me try and give you the answers to these questions and give you an insight into what happened. It started in late 2000. The tourist season had not been wonderful. Many of the members expressed a view that Bord Fáilte and Ireland West were not doing as much as they could to promote the Clifden and Connemara area. After all, Clifden was the capital of Connemara. It possessed numerous quality bars and restaurants, hotels and guest houses. The area served the best seafood in Europe. There were attractive shops selling regional crafts, tweeds and knitwear. There was a championship golf course, a swimming pool, walking centres, activity centres and riding schools. Clifden's twin spires stood up against the 12 bends of Connemara and scenic roads radiated in all directions. But listening to the advertising of our national tourism body, one could be forgiven for thinking that there was no place west of Galway City. Indeed, we were advised that only a mere 7% of tourists arriving in Galway City came to Connemara. It was time for change, and who better to do it than ourselves? It was suggested we put together a free visitor guide for the town. Our target audience were the cities of Galway and Dublin. Clifden was to be the base for a wonderful Connemara holiday. Our team went to work and our guide was printed in June 2001. Then came our first hiccup. Ireland West pointed out that two of the advertisers were not members of theirs, and so therefore they could not distribute the guide through their Galway office. Although disappointed, we moved to Plan B, and the guide was eventually distributed through a Dublin network of universities, hostels, theatres, art centres, car rental firms, and also through a network of friends the Chamber had in Galway City. Then the Dublin Tourism Board saw the guide and, recognising its quality and the overriding fact that its purpose was to promote tourism, offered to distribute it through their offices. Needless to say, the couriers were quickly contacted, loaded up and dispatched with haste. The response to the 2001 guide was very positive, with many emails and letters of congratulations. Many advised us of bookings, and many others wrote and promised that they would visit soon. So that was 2001. 2002 was to provide a greater challenge for many reasons. In the aftermath of the sadness and tragedy of September 11, it was decided that we had to redouble our efforts in 2002. We decided to brighten the image of the guide using lighter colours and many photographs of our stunning and beautiful scenery. There are now articles on visiting Inishbofin, climbing the 12 bends, visiting the Connemara National Park and touring through Roundstone and Renville and Cleggan and Cladaduff, through Lough Ina and the amazing Skye Road. There is an article on the outstanding success of the Connemara Rugby Football Club, the Blacks, whose very existence in the All-Ireland League has brought many visitors to the area. There are details of the brilliant Clifden Community Arts Week, which this year celebrates its 25th birthday and annually brings celebrated musicians, writers and poets among us. And of course, there are features and photographs of our beautiful shops, restaurants and pubs, and the magnificent accommodation available in our hotels and guest houses and bed and breakfast houses. There is information on the superb Connemara Championship links, the ferry services, the Station House Museum and of course, a list of numbers for the emergency services. To top it all off, we had the truly great news from Ireland West that the guide this year was acceptable to them and that we were in a position to distribute it in 54 tourist offices throughout 32 counties. And so now, what of the future? We can put our heads down and cry about the lack of visitors flying into the country, about the wet and dreary weather so far this year, and remember how the World Cup kept everyone at home. But why should we do that? We're still the capital of Connemara. We still have the bars and restaurants. We still sell the best seafood in Europe. We still have the attractive shops with brightly coloured fronts. We still have the spectacular Skye Road and miles of sandy beaches along our rugged coastline, stretching southwards to Ballyconneely and Roundstone through Cashel and on to Kilkerran. Or we can go northwards to Cleggan, look out over Inishboffin Island and move on to Moyard and Renville and Leenane at the head of the Killary Harbour. We still have the countless lakes and rivers, surrounded by dramatic mountain ranges, soaring above our wild Atlantic beaches. We can boast two great historic events: Mr. Marconi's first fixed point-to-point wireless telegraph station and the landing in 1919 of the famous John Alcock and Arthur Whitten Brown after flying 1900 miles from Newfoundland in the first transatlantic flight. But most important of all, we still have a warmth, an embrace and a hospitality that goes unrivaled in these islands. So yes, we will keep our heads held high and we will shout to ensure that we are not overlooked and that our National Organisation for Tourism concentrates on bringing visitors to Clifden and Connemara and not just to Dublin Airport. And we will continue the development of our town. And maybe, in the not too distant future, we will have our town manager, we will have our museum, we will have our People's Park, we will have our marina, we will have decent roads, and to go with our airport, maybe we will have a rail system to encourage more people to visit this unblemished jewel in Ireland's scenic crown. So there you have it, the story of the Clifden Visitor Guide, and a taster of the many other issues that the Chamber is involved in. For these, of course, Minister, we will need your help. Thank you for listening and enjoy your evening.